A quick note before we get into the episode. Oversharing is a podcast for entertainment purposes only. It is not a medical podcast and does not constitute medical or psychological advice. Always seek the advice of your physician or mental health professional.
All right, I'll do some intentions. Dear Jordana and Dr. Naomi, I'm a huge fan of the podcast. I love the advice, but I also laugh at your banter because my sisters and I also have a significant age gap. I'd like your help setting an intention to own my decision to become a stay-at-home mom. Some background. My husband and I welcomed our first child 9 months ago. We considered the stay-at-home mom scenario, but we realized that my 401k doesn't vest until this December, so we decided that I would go back to work and my son would go to daycare until at least the end of the year. We saw it as an opportunity to give both situations, staying at home and working, a fair trial run. Spoiler alert, I'm going to leave my job. My husband started a new job where he travels more often, so there are many weeks where I work and solo parent. He is the breadwinner and has been eyeing this career move for a while. Meanwhile, I've been even more dissatisfied with my career since returning. I have been apathetic about being late to meetings when it's my turn for daycare drop-off. I miss maternity leave because I felt valuable doing work to make things less stressful at home, and it was easier to make time for myself and our marriage. Now we come home and immediately have to start dinner, bedtime, and chores to prep for the next daycare drop-off. It feels like there is little time to enjoy the family we're building. My husband and I use this time to prepare, budget, talk with our financial advisor, and discuss our roles when I stay home. And we're confident this is the best for our family. But here's where I need an intention. I get so anxious to tell people I'm going to leave my job to be the primary parent. I even feel icky writing this because I know so many people have no choice but to live the working parent grind and would love to have the option to work or stay home. I feel nauseous thinking about giving my career climber boss, who also just had a baby, my resignation. Staying at home feels like a luxury that I didn't earn. In the past, I prided myself for graduating early and working hard to pay off my student and car loans, but I still wouldn't be in this privileged situation without my husband and his career. Can you give me an intention to confidently own my decision to be a stay-at-home parent, regardless of what people may think about our situation? This mama needs a mantra. Thanks.
Yeah, I like this question because it points to like the martyr culture that I think, well, I should say this. I think millennials and whatever generation I am.
Gen X.
Yeah, Gen X is more into this like martyr culture. I think like the rising generations are getting over it and kind of doing the thing where they're like, don't really want to work and hard work isn't
right.
as much of a...
That's all the shit we talk about them.
Yes. So I do think there is this really intense martyr culture of like your worth is dependent on like how miserable you are and how hard you work. So I could see why she's nauseous at the thought of telling her boss, who also is a new mom, and she's like that she's really in this culture, and she's probably going to be like, well, I'm doing it. Why can't you do it?
Right.
If she's like, well, I'm going to stay home because I want, I just had a baby and I want to spend time. And I could see why she feels hesitant to do that. But I think the martyr culture just ends up making people kind of stir up hardship in their mind just to kind of prove to the world that they don't have it so easy. And I like that she's doing this. I just hope that she can take it and use it and not have to be like, oh, I'm so tired and I didn't sleep and the baby this. And, I think sometimes people do that to compensate for the fact that they feel like they have to be miserable in order to be worthy.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. I think there is, and I've heard there is a sense of, especially depending on who you're around, to say, especially if people are, I think part of it is like wrapped up in your identity. If you meet a new group of people, you're saying, well, what do you do? And, I've met some stay-at-home moms who feel like they have to qualify their stay-at-home mom status or say they feel weird about it. Even if they, maybe they do, I don't know. But like, I feel like even if they don't, there's this sense of, a defensiveness of it. Because it's 2020, 25. And I feel like there's like a sense of, is this a empowering decision? Is this a decision that's like in line with how I was raised, kind of like how she was saying, or my identity as a person who's working and has their own money and I don't want to say more independent, but yeah, in some way, more financially independent,
Right.
I guess.
Right. It is I could see why it's a big deal because it's a big shift in identity from someone who's like working hard and that's part of like what makes you valuable. To now you're maybe enjoying just being home with your baby and maybe it doesn't feel like hard work and that's okay.
Right.
Like I'm sure it will be hard work once you're with your baby like all day, every day, which is another, thing that maybe you'll write back in 6 months and be like, this isn't what I thought it was, perhaps. Or honestly, perhaps you find it easy and it's pleasant and you're happy and relaxed.
Right.
And that's amazing too. And, and letting go of the guilt around that, I think would be in everyone's best interest.
Because that's just an ego thing, right? Like if she were to stay at her job, it would really be about her ego.
Mm-hmm.
And, I remember talking about this in our very beginning of the show with the therapist that we had on to talk about ketamine therapy. And it's like your ego. Right. Yes. Your ego kind of holds you back from doing what's right for you because but what it says about you and what you think. She's not even she doesn't even say she's thinking this about herself. It's more about what other people think of this thing. So it would be a shame to live your life based on that, holding yourself back from happiness because of this feeling that other people think you should be living a certain way.
Totally. And just becoming aware of it, you're writing in, you're aware of it, and it's something you're going to have to push yourself and it's going to be uncomfortable. We all have that tendency to like be defensive and defend our ego. Like sometimes even our kids might, will be like, oh, so-and-so's house is always so bougie and it's always so clean. And I'm like, well, her mom doesn't work. So like, back off. Yes. And then so I'm part of the problem in that way too. But that's like that my tendency, but I'm also kind of like, okay, great. Like the real answer should be like, that's wonderful. Like, I'm glad that they can have that environment or like, that's good for them. And we have different blessings and, kind of just keeping your eyes on your own paper and allowing yourself to enjoy this blessing that that they are financially secure enough where she has this choice. And the best way that you can kind of embrace that is to be grateful for it instead of shamed about it. Otherwise, it's like you have this blessing and you're kind of squandering it in some ways,
I agree. So what's her intention for when she's about to tell her boss or a friend or someone?
So I wrote two kind of different ends, one like on the more positive and one like addressing the negative. But the first one that I wrote is, I will embrace this blessing through gratitude and presence. So you've been given a gift. Some people, I'm sure there's certain things, if they haven't happened yet in your life, that will happen that will not be a blessing and you will have to deal with that. So don't squander this while you have it. It's a wonderful thing. Be grateful for it, be present in it. And that's the best, gift that you can give yourself, is not kind of ruining it by being stuck in feelings of shame, just in enjoying it. But on the flip side, another intention that I wrote is, my worth is not dependent on my hardship. And I think sometimes in our culture, it feels like the harder we work, the more miserable we are, like we're going to get a prize, which is why lots of people like to complain, because complaining is sort of, in some ways, feels often like we are seeking validation that our life isn't easy and therefore we are more worthy, which I think is toxic. And we should try to step away from that.
I agree.
So whichever way you want to look at it, but here's a blessing. I'm sure there will be others down the line that you may or may not have. And the best thing you can do is just have gratitude for it and lean into it. And your worth is not, like you said, just because that was what made your ego feel satisfied when you were, 15 and 25 and, maybe 30. Now you can kind of say to your ego, hey, take a rest. We're fine. Chill out.
Agreed. Okay.
All right.
Good luck. Let us know how those conversations go.
Yeah, would love to hear that too.
All right, let's do some triggers. You want to read our first trigger?
Yes. All right. Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. I love your podcast and I'm a longtime listener. Your words of wisdom keep me sane on my long commute to work. I have a triggered scenario I'd love to hear your opinion on. My fiance and I have been engaged for about a year and a half. We booked our wedding back in early 2025 for September 2026. We chose a long engagement mainly for financial reasons. We bought a fixer-upper before getting engaged and needed time to save. Here's why I'm triggered. We just found out through my fiance's mom, not his brother directly, that his younger brother and fiance booked their wedding for August 2026, just 4 weeks before ours. They only got engaged a month ago. Had always talked about wanting something small, but nope, now they're planning a 100-person wedding at a venue with the same exact vibe as ours. To be clear, they knew our wedding was in early September 2026. To make it worse, the way his brother told him was a casual group text with their youngest brother. We booked our wedding August, whatever, 2026. Make sure you're available. No heads up, no conversation, no acknowledgement of our wedding, and it's on a Thursday, which means we'll have to use vacation days we had originally set aside for our wedding and honeymoon. My fiance is the oldest sibling and would have been the first married in the family, so this feels like they're ripping away a moment we've been planning for months and will never get back. I just simply can't believe that a sibling would treat another sibling like this. Here's the kicker. This isn't out of character for his brother. My fiance and his brother don't have the best relationship, but they're not completely estranged. His brother has a history of selfish, jealous, competitive behavior. For example, when we bought our house, he and his fiance made snide remarks, then suddenly moved into an apartment together 3 weeks later. They also made snide remarks after we got engaged. So now I can't help but feel like this wedding date is intentional. What really stings is his mom's reaction. She knew their plan was to get married next summer, but never shut it down, even though it directly undercut our date. Now she's brushing it off, saying this happens all the time, and urging us to still include them in our wedding events, rehearsal dinner, shower, bridal party, etc. Meanwhile, our feelings are totally invalidated. It's been days and I still feel so hurt and triggered. We've decided not to include his brother and fiance in certain parts of our celebration, but I can't stop thinking, how triggered can I be? Signed, stuck in a wedding competition I never signed up for, Betch.
I hate to be the ones to give this person a reality check.
Yeah.
And
you knew what I was
Yes.
probably going to say about this.
Yes. She's acting kind of crazy. I will say, like, it's a different month. It's like, it's not the same day. It's not the same weekend. It's not the same week. The most triggering part to me would be the getting married on a Thursday. That's kind of annoying, but if I'm being totally honest.
And the days off. Yes.
Right.
That part. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the only thing that actually affects you. You do not own a year, a season. You could have a day. You could even have a weekend. I'll give you that. Even a week. Sure.
Yeah. If it was
You
like
get
the week before, maybe that would be like slightly more annoying.
Yeah. There's like, it's funny because she signs it off, stuck in a wedding competition I never signed up for, Betch. She's the one who's making it a competition. Like, it does feel, and I guess it does, again, there's like this culture of like the bride, everything must be about the bride, and she doesn't want, like, I don't think the husband cares that his younger brother is getting married 1 month before him. Like, it's not like they planned this for a month out from when they got engaged. This is a year after their engagement. That's standard.
Right.
No one has done anything wrong here. I agree with the fiance's mom. This happens all the time. Our brother got married within a couple months of you.
Oh, right.
Right?
I literally didn't even register that. But yes. Yeah.
I don't think anyone was
even thought
upset about that. Yeah.
Totally. It's so true, actually.
You're like, I'm still upset about that.
No, like I didn't even
clock it.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. I think there is, because of the way that she describes the prior thing, which is like, we moved into a house and then they like had the nerve to move into an apartment together. It's like, I'm sure they didn't move into an apartment together just to piss you off. That's almost like they packed up all their things and moved in together just to irritate you. I really doubt that.
And then got engaged to spite you.
Yeah. I think there's something else going on here. I think there's like maybe it's coming from their side. They said they're like all but estranged. There's some kind of tension. And maybe there are some snide comments. Maybe there is some jealous, competitive behavior. I don't think that they suddenly moved into an apartment together 3 weeks after you bought your house just to bother you. That seems like a big move to bother somebody. The idea that they did it on purpose, I think that's what's sticking her.
Right. Or didn't ask them or acknowledge. And I guess here's the thing. I think they wouldn't ask or acknowledge because they're almost estranged. So he's like, I'm not going to pick this wedding. I'm not going to like ask permission from someone who I'm not that close with about my wedding date. I'm just going to tell him my wedding date. He's still invited. It's like checks with that.
Right. Yeah, I think there's a bigger dynamic at play here because, and again, it speaks to this somebody's got to get married first, right? Like it doesn't get to be your fiance just because he's older. That's not written anywhere. I think that, maybe she's a little bit like, oh, wow, maybe I should have gotten married on a Thursday and then wouldn't have had to save up for so long.
She could have.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Which would have been annoying, but I guess that's an option. If you get married on a Thursday, you probably don't, it's probably way cheaper. So you don't have to, wait as long.
But then everyone talks shit about you getting married on Thursday.
Yeah, whatever. That's it.
It's a trade-off.
It's true. That's the trade-off. Exactly right. I want to validate her. I think there probably is something going on here. I don't think she's imagining the whole thing. I'm sure there's some type of competition, which is maybe underlyingly what's led to their like extremely distant relationship. But I think you wrote to us, so we're going to give it to you real. I think the idea that you're not going to include them in your wedding events because they picked a date a month before yours is kind of petty.
Come up with a different reason.
Yeah.
Pick a remark they said that was rude. You didn't give any examples. The wedding boat, you tell people they're not included because because they're getting married the month before you. You sound crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think that I would love to help you figure out what is really bothering you and what is really this jealousy issue. And I do she says like a wedding venue with a vibe similar to ours. Like, again, it's a wedding. Everyone does it. There's only a certain number of options. The idea that like you own the vibe or the date or the sign-in
ring size, ring shape. Yeah.
It's like, there's only a certain number of options. Lots of people are doing it. You can't stake claim on any of these things because then you're contributing to whatever. I'm not saying you started this dynamic of competitive jealousy stuff, but you're in it.
Yes.
I don't know how it got started. I'd love to find out and help you guys untangle it. But the only way to untangle it is to loosen your grip on the whole thing, back off. There can't be a competition that's affecting you if you're not playing, but you're playing.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like when her sign off, she's like, I'm stuck in a wedding competition. You're only stuck because you are a willing participant in this dynamic. If you don't care, if you're focused on your wedding and your husband and how great you guys are doing and not anyone else who's again, not getting married the same month as you, you're going to like, that's a competition you signed up for.
Yeah. And again, the ego thing I think plays into it is this idea that my wedding has to be like this defining expression of like who I am and my creativity. And I think if you're going to use your wedding as like fuel for your own ego, you're going to run into this one way or another. Whether you see someone else does it, they post on their Instagram or, this isn't, you can't, if you want to express yourself in some type of unique manner, maybe use fashion or paint or write music, or if you're using your wedding in this way, I think there's a lot of room for disappointment because it's very expensive and there's a lot of things you don't control about it.
Agreed. I'd give this a 2.5 because she's getting married on a Thursday. Which is annoying when you're planning on taking a honeymoon and But again,
Yeah.
not something they've done wrong to you. But
Right. Look, okay. I want to just I want to just validate this. In their minds, they set this up like they got engaged first, so they would get married first. So I think they had this expectation of like, he's the oldest. He's going to kind of be the first one to do this.
lead the way.
So I could
sure.
see a little bit of disappointment there.
Yes.
But yeah, way more triggering things like the oldest of 7 girls that's, maybe not married and everyone else is married, or, that's like more of that's a trigger. This is like a wedding date.
Yeah.
I get you had it set up in one way and it didn't turn out that way. Slightly disappointing, but yeah, let it go. It's going to be better for you. It's going to be better for them. It's going to be better for your husband's relationship with his brother. If you want to figure out what's going on here, give us a call, write in.
Yes.
We can talk to you about it.
We'll have you on. We'll get
have
into
you
it.
on to figure out kind of like why you feel stuck in this thing, because it's common. This is not just, I want to just also normalize it. We get these wedding questions all the time. The engagement with the Paris thing, with the Eiffel Tower, like, let's get to the root of why this is bugging you guys.
Come on the show. Let's get into it. Email us. It'll be great for everyone who's listening and all brides who have the tendency to do this.
Yeah. Come. We'll help you kind of just soften, relax, allow, enjoy your wedding day, no matter what anybody else is doing. So yeah, I agree. I'll give it a 3.
Okay. Very generous. All right. Our last triggered and our last email of the day is a voicemail. If you want to leave us a voicemail, you can leave us one at 646-363-6294. Or as always, you can email us at oversharing@betches.com. But I love these voicemails. Let's roll the tape.
Hi, Jordana and Dr. Naomi. I don't know if I'd call it a triggered. I wasn't particularly triggered, but maybe I am triggered because I can't stop thinking about it and I wanted to talk to you guys about it. But a situation, yesterday I was at a birthday brunch for my friend with, it was like a big group of girls. So some people I knew and some people I didn't know. And when I walked up, I recognized a girl at the brunch who I've never met before, but I know her from sort of around town. She's like a psychic energy healer, and she does these women's full moon circles once a month. And at one point I had signed up for one and paid, and then didn't end up going for whatever reason. But I did pay for it, but we've never met face to face, right? And I don't follow her on Instagram. She doesn't follow me on Instagram. We just know, I know who she is. I knew her face right away, but I wasn't going to say anything because it's just brunch or whatever. So she said, I come up to the table, she introduces herself, everybody's doing introductions, and I said my name, and she goes, well, what's your whole name? And I was like, what? And she was like, what's your last name? And I said it, and then she was like, oh yeah, you signed up for one of my full moon circles and you didn't show up. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I don't really remember why that happened, but nice to meet you, haha, whatever. And I don't know, it was weird. She brought it up a few times and made a big thing about how she goes through the list of everyone who signs up and saves their phone numbers in advance. And I was just like, okay, I get it. I didn't show up to your full moon circle that I paid $35 to go to, but whatever, it just was, I don't know, it felt very odd, and I felt like it made the vibe weird between her and me the whole time. And I don't know, at first I was kind of whatever, who cares? But then I was thinking about it more, so I teach Pilates, right? And in advance of the class I get a list of everybody who signed up and their first and last name, and it would be if there was a girl at at the brunch that I recognized had no-showed a bunch of Pilates classes. It's just weird. I don't know. It just felt very sort of weird and unwelcoming to me in this way of sometimes I think because of Instagram and social media, we know who someone is before we meet them, but I don't think it's polite to call it out in that way. I mean, maybe it is. I don't know. that's why I wanted to hear your take on it, because I wasn't necessarily triggered. I felt like it was rude and just sort of uncomfy.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I just think it's kind of off-putting that she did this because it's also
Yeah.
not welcoming. It makes it feel like if she wanted to sign up for another one and pay for it, right? She
Right.
paid for it. Then she would be really nervous that she's going to like this teacher who's supposed to be all like vibey and
Yeah.
warm and inviting is going to be like mad at her. Like that's not the vibe you want when you're doing this kind of like spiritual work, is that like someone's like angry with you.
Right. Yeah. Your vibe should kind of just be like the merrier vibe,
Yeah.
or like also she was saying like, after like, oh, you signed up and then I do this crazy thing where I save everyone's phone numbers. Like doesn't take that much work. It's not like she like
Right.
created a whole thing
individualized plan based on your birth date and your
Right.
like, you know, moon sign or whatever. She just like saved your number in her phone so she can probably add you to her list or whatever. Right.
Like, is it a little annoying for someone to no show? Maybe she had a plan for 10 people and 9 people came.
Right.
Fine. But I don't think it's not like she did this constantly.
Multiple times. Right. Even the listener's example is like, if I had someone who kept no showing to my Pilates class, that's different than a one single no show.
Right.
In a
like
group.
she doesn't,
it's not like an individual appointment that you had with her alone. It's a group.
She doesn't know if you had a medical emergency or something else or some other. Are you supposed to like call if you're going to no show? I don't even know.
I mean, I think if you're brand new to a large group, like a full moon circle, which doesn't feel like it matters that much. Like you said, if there's 9 people or 10 people, maybe if you're doing a partner work or something.
Right.
But the flip side of this is like, if she was so concerned, she could have reached out to you and been like, hey, I noticed that you weren't able to make it. Like, is everything okay?
Yeah. Or if you're that annoyed, like charge a cancellation fee.
Right. Well, she did. She paid for the entire session.
Right. She paid for the session. Sometimes I think people have additional fees, which is crazy. I've seen that where it's like, if you don't show, you have like an additional cancellation fee, which I think is crazy. But it's like, if it's so bothersome to her, make your policy whatever you want your policy to be.
So that people don't, you're right. Part of the policy is like, here's the ramification of you not showing up. You lose your $35. Like you're not getting a refund.
It's like she asked for a refund.
Right. Totally. I find this triggering because it's like I'm walking into a brunch, I'm trying to just enjoy myself, and I'm kind of being passive aggressively scolded by this person, rather than her maybe coming out and saying, hey, so glad that you were interested, would love to have you back. I just want to let you know, like I do these things and sometimes we have partners. And so next time, if you're not going to show up, I'd really appreciate it if you would just give me a heads up. So that way I can, kind of, plan accordingly, but would love for you to come back and give it a try. Here's, just something that wasn't what feels like just calling you out in a passive aggressive way and sort of trying to embarrass you maybe in front of other people.
Right. Doesn't seem like great energy healing.
Yeah, totally.
From an energy healer. It's that's a particularly weird. It's like, it would almost be less weird if it was a Pilates instructor, because you're not expecting someone to have like amazing vibes.
Yeah. Like I've done that too before, where like I'll go to a yoga class and maybe people disagree. Maybe this is like a Betch thing that we can ask people what they think. But like I've gone to yoga classes before where I'm like, a little late, 5 to 7 minutes late. And I feel like I'm getting like scolded on the way in. Like I'm walking in really quietly. I'm like putting down my mat really quietly. I'm not disturbing anybody. If your meditation is so disturbed by like a slight rustling of a sound of a mat going down on the floor, like, you probably need a little bit more meditation practice.
I agree. I think the only one losing in that situation is you, because you've missed 7 minutes of a class that you paid for.
Right. I just don't feel like in those types of like mindful, like spiritual, that you should be like anxious about like upsetting the teacher. I'm missing out because I'm running late. She missed out on the class. She got fully paid for it. I doubt that there was like partner work that screwed her up. I think she just recognized her name and
Was insulted
that you didn't show up. Would it have been nice to maybe shoot an email and say, hey, so sorry, can't make it? Yeah, but if I'm being honest, if I'm doing something that I know is like a large group exercise and I can't show up, like I may or may not.
And I have no pre-existing relationship with an instructor or a studio.
And they're getting paid for nothing.
Yeah, that would be my mindset. I wouldn't call and ask for my money back.
Right.
But I don't think I'd call to necessarily give them a heads up.
Totally. And if she was like really a healer, she might have reached out to her and been like, hey, I noticed that you were like looking for something and then you didn't get it. Like, just wanted to check in. Are you still interested? Is everything okay? Like, I almost feel like it might have been on her to see, hey, what's going on?
Right.
I'm just going to save your number in my phone, but I'm not going to text you and be like, hey, like, how's it going? Or like, is everything okay? I saw you couldn't make it.
If someone didn't show up to one of your groups, would you reach out to them?
Yeah, a lot of times I do. I'll say like, hey, just want to, and it's not like mean or mad. It's just like, is everything okay? Like, are you sick? Or did you forget? Or maybe some emergency came up or whatever. Like sometimes I'll reach out and just check in. Or sometimes I'm just like, okay, shit happens and they couldn't make it, but I'm not mad about it, especially because I have a policy. If you don't cancel, you pay for the session and like, it's kind of your loss. Like, what am I going to be mad about?
Yeah. You're still getting
Even
paid.
There are sometimes people where I'm like, oh, I wanted to address this thing with this person today. Or like I had a plan that involved that person's attendance. I change the plan when I see that they're not there. So yeah.
The instructor needs a few more full moon circles to get back to her.
Yeah, I agree. This is, I think it's more triggering because it was like in front of other people and just kind of made the whole social interaction awkward.
Right.
Yeah. What do you give it?
Yeah. I'd give it like a 5.
Yeah. It was between 4 and a 5.
Yeah. Because I think it would be 4 if she mentioned it once, but she's saying she's mentioning it multiple times throughout the brunch, where I'd be like, all right, I kind of want to like leave now. You're making me feel weird.
And also just not good practice for like creating a community. Like if you make someone feel like they're going to be in trouble, they're not going to feel like comfy being in your community and being like, you can just show up, not show up, no pressure. Like,
right. Well, that's the thing. Because like when someone reacts this strongly, it kind of shows that their business is like not doing well. And it's probably because she's bringing this energy to it.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what I mean? Like it's like a salesperson. If you go into the store and then you leave without buying anything and they like yell at you,
never coming back.
You're never coming back. And you're also like, wow, like you really needed this sale. Like,
yes.
You really needed like something about this job is like not doing well for you, that because clearly this woman was talking about triggered. This woman was triggered by seeing you and realizing that you didn't show up. So to me, it's just a sign her business is not going particularly well.
Totally. And then that makes you think like how desirable is this class? How much are people really getting out of it if like she's, so desperate to have people coming, which just makes you want to back off more. So don't be turned off to full moon healing circles. I think they're amazing, wonderful places of community and like female bonding, but I could see why you probably are never going to go back to this one.
Agreed.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm glad that we validated her because I was feeling a little badly about like invalidating a couple of our other listeners with the wedding scenario. And like I really appreciate the people that write in. So I want to say that like your questions are great. They apply to a lot of people. And just because we might not agree that it's like super triggering doesn't mean that a lot of people might not really relate to being triggered by these types of things. So please don't hesitate to write in with this because it's worthwhile for everyone listening.
And I would really like to get into it with the wedding person. So if you are listening, please write in. We'll have you on a subscription episode behind the paywall. We'll get into the whole thing. Oh, and one more thing. So I, when listening to, when making this outline this weekend, realized that there are a lot of voicemails that I've missed because, or I've missed and that we can't use because sometimes people leave a voicemail, and if you leave a voicemail that's over 3 minutes, it just cuts you off. So it just
this one sounded like it did get probably cut at 3, right?
I got the gist, so I included this one anyway. I don't really think there's that much more you could say about this, but there are plenty of others where it was a really good, interesting scenario that they've written in or email or, Betch assist or overshare or intentions, but you went on for longer than 3 minutes and it cut you off. So just a note, if you're going to leave a voicemail, you have to keep it under 3 minutes or it will cut you off and I will never be able to hear the end of the voicemail.
Or the other option is, because I don't want people to feel anxious, like they have to script it out or like make sure and like practice it and time it, because like I don't want that. What if they just call it again and leave the last bit of it? Is that acceptable?
That's acceptable. I wouldn't make it like a 10-minute situation. Like I would try to be succinct, and most of the majority of them are under 3 minutes. It's actually kind of like a little difficult to go over 3 minutes.
Okay.
But I just want people to know, in case they're not aware, that if you I'm sure you can keep speaking after 3 minutes, but our system will not like record more than 3 minutes. And so I can't use those voicemails, and plenty of them are really, really good. So if you wrote in and you feel like maybe we didn't choose your email or your voicemail because it was longer, do it again, put it under the 3 minute mark. Cause I love these voicemails. They're a great way to get the tone and really like a full story. And some people are just better at asking questions verbally. So
totally
check it out.
All right. Well, good episode. Thank you guys again for writing in. Really, please I don't ever want anyone to feel hesitant to write in, because we might not give your situation the triggered score that you want, but it still is really valuable. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for writing in. We couldn't do it without you. But yeah, that's our time.
Great work today.